To drink anywhere from 12 to 20 Diet Cokes a day. I started smoking when I was 19, smoked for almost 29 years.
He drank Diet Coke like water, lit up cigarettes mid-round, and once said he hated working out so much that it made him puke. John Daly isn't built like an athlete. He doesn't act like one either. But in the 1990s, while golf was polishing its image and pushing fitness and finesse, Daly came in with a beer belly and zero interest in following anyone's rules. And he did the unthinkable. He won. And not just any event, he won majors. This is the wild, unfiltered story of golf's most unlikely champion, and how John Daly, the overweight, chain-smoking alcoholic, became a legend no one saw coming. John Patrick Daly was born in 1966 in Carmichael, California, but grew up mostly in Arkansas. His childhood wasn't easy. His father was an alcoholic who was abusive, especially when drunk. Golf for Daly was more than a sport, it was an escape. By age 4, he was already swinging clubs. By 13, he was playing in adult club championships. And by the time he was in college, he could outdrive just about anyone. But unlike most future pros, Daly didn't follow a smooth path. While in University of Arkansas, he got into fights with authority, struggled with alcohol abuse, and followed a diet that consisted of popcorn and Diet Coke. He has famously said that he never eats vegetables and barely drinks water. In fact, it was his college coach who told him to start smoking cigarettes to drop 60 to 70 pounds so he could make the golf team. So Daly was not polished by any means. He wasn't disciplined either, but he did have a raw, almost freakish talent, and it was about to explode onto the biggest stage in golf. After turning professional in 1987, Daly spent a few years grinding through mini tours and regional events, showing flashes of brilliance but never quite breaking through. Then came the 1991 PGA Championship at Crooked Stick. Daly wasn't even in the field. He was the 9th alternate. Everyone ahead of him had to withdraw for him to even get a spot. But that's exactly what happened. With no practice rounds, no prep, and barely enough time to get there, Daly showed up, teed off, and destroyed the field. He unleashed 300-yard shots off the tee like it was nothing. The fans loved it. He played fast, hit hard, and brought an energy that golf hadn't seen before. He won the tournament by 3 shots, and the sport was stunned. Golf had just been introduced to a new kind of champion, one who didn't look the part at all. The crowd chanted his name. The media went wild. And just like that, a chubby, unknown, last-minute entry was now a major winner. That PGA win wasn't a fluke. It was the beginning of the grip it and rip it era, a philosophy Daly practically invented. He didn't overthink his swing or analyze launch angles. He just stepped up and let it rip. And it worked. Even Tiger Woods admired Daly's effortless power and once called him one of the most naturally gifted golfers he'd ever seen. He was a guy who could outdrive anyone without even trying. Daly led the PGA Tour in driving distance every year from 1991 to 1993, and again from 1995 to 2002, consistently averaging over 300 yards. But it wasn't just his absurd power off the tee that made him a phenomenon. It was his raw authenticity. Daly never hid his flaws. In fact, he put them on display. He openly talked about his battles with alcohol, smoking, overeating, and gambling. And somehow, fans loved him more for it. He wasn't from a country club. He wasn't well-mannered, and his PR wasn't meticulously managed. He wore loud pants, drank Diet Coke instead of water, and played golf like he had nothing to lose. But all that chaos came at a price. Daly's drinking got worse. He once admitted to drinking a fifth of Jack Daniels daily, sometimes right before a game, and that was just the whiskey. In later interviews, he casually mentioned downing 35 to 40 beers in a single day. On another occasion, he claimed to have downed 60 vodka seltzers in one day. This wasn't partying. It was self-destruction on a public stage. He entered rehab multiple times, often directly after tournament wins, but sobriety never stuck. The same defiant streak that made him so magnetic in the game of golf also made sobriety nearly impossible. There were meltdowns mid-round, like walking off the course, smashing clubs, even cursing on live TV. He showed up drunk, and sometimes still played well enough to beat the field. Daly even admitted, "I played better when I was drunk." A few drinks, he claimed, helped him loosen up and play freely. Between 1991 and 1995, Daly lost control more often than he found it. But the raw talent? That never went away. Just when the world thought he burned out, Daly stunned them again. At the 1995 Open Championship at St. Andrews, he came back from behind to force a playoff and won it. It was proof that the 1991 win wasn't luck. It was skill, reckless but undeniable skill. 2 majors, 4 years apart, with a mountain of chaos in between. Only John Daly could do that. But sadly, even these victories weren't able to silence the storm within him. Daly later revealed he lost over $51 million to gambling over the course of his career. He recalled losing over $1 million in a single session at a Las Vegas slot machine. Gambling, like everything else in his life, wasn't done halfway. His personal life was far from stable, too. Daly's third wife, Sherry Miller, accused him of domestic violence. Daly claimed in response that she had attacked him with a steak knife. The incident ended with her fleeing their home and later being sentenced to jail for contempt of court in a related matter. Then there were the arrests and suspensions. In 2008, Daly was found passed out drunk outside a Hooters, barefoot and shirtless. Police placed him in protective custody until he sobered up. Just a few weeks later, he was suspended by the PGA Tour for behavior deemed detrimental to the tour. Needless to say, all this led to sponsors distancing themselves from Daly and tournament invitations drying up. Most golfers wouldn't have come back from such lows, but John Daly wasn't done yet. Through all the controversies, fans never stopped loving him. Because for every headline about rehab stints and meltdowns, Daly gave you a moment that made you cheer. For example, in 2004, against every odd, he won the PGA Tour Comeback Player of the Year. It was proof that even after the worst of it, Daly could still rise. But that wasn't all. He turned his cult following into a brand. He played country music to sold-out bars, dropped a sportswear line full of patterns no one else dared to wear, and signed autographs until the sun went down. He gave back too, donating to charities, showing up for kids, and playing pro-ams like he actually enjoyed them. When the PGA distanced itself, Daly didn't sulk. He just kept showing up on his own terms. On the Champions Tour, in sponsors' events, and anywhere golf fans still wanted to see him play. John Daly never fulfilled what most call his full potential, but maybe that's the wrong way to measure him. Along the way, he won millions of hearts by being unapologetically himself. He reminded the world that perfection isn't always the path to greatness. Because in a sport that worships discipline, Daly's chaos made him dangerous, and his freedom gave him an edge. Maybe not being uptight was his secret weapon.